to the cloud. Okay, just want to let everybody know that I am recording this so that we can use for marketing purposes. So being part of this, you are agreeing that we are recording. Thank you for being with us today. We are going to be going over how to do business with HOAs and COAs and their residents. And you know what? I'm going to enable the waiting room just in case we have anyone pop in. Okay, so I am Diane Michael. I have Callan Group Communications as the agency that I started in 2008. I have been doing business development and marketing and outreach since 1999. But for what the purposes of today's webinar are, is I've been working with community association managers, CAMs, and vendors since 2014. I was honored to work with the building association managers, where I met a number of CAMs and future clients. And one of those future clients knew Lindsay. And that is how I met Lindsay and am now able to do business with her.
Yes, so my name is Lindsay Lombardi. I am with Coastal Living Real Estate and Association Management. I have had my real estate license since 2013. Before that, I worked in the real estate world with my family's businesses, both real estate and home inspection. And then in 2016, I got my community association manager's license and have been working in that field as well since then. So together we kind of bring a unique view on marketing and marketing to CAMs, which I think is really important for vendors because we're always looking for someone in almost every field.
Okay, and then, of course, I have an issue with my screen. The Zoom just has not been working today for me. Okay. So that is who we are. Okay, so we know that nowadays technology is changing. We know the demographics of the people that we're working with are changing. We know more than ever before that good help is hard to find. I have a great team. I've been very fortunate, but I work with a lot of vendors who just don't have the resources and the support team to get all the work that needs to be done during the day just for the current clients, let alone marketing to new people and taking care of community association managers who really are an extension of your sales team, because once you're in with them, they want to sell you and work with you and promote your business. So we would like to be part of a good team so that we can handle the outreach and the sales and the marketing to help grow the vendor business in terms of CAMs, HOAs, and COAs. We also know that it's an expensive market out there. I have a management company as a client, and I do an annual conference for them. And just to speak at the conference is $5,000. To have a booth there is $1,500. And, that's just to get in the door. And, then you have to bring your wares and you have to pay your people to go. And, there's all these expenses that are associated with that. So we understand that it's a competitive market and that it's an expensive market. And we created this program to make it very affordable for all. And that goes into the next slide or the next bullet point, where it's more competitive and there are more marketing options out there. I am dipping my toes into a number of new platforms. So there's always ways to get your vendor name and your business out to the masses. And it's sometimes hard to say, okay, where do I focus my energy, resources, money, and time? And where is it going to produce the most value? And that's why Lindsay and I came up with this program, is because we really saw the benefits of working with CAMs and having them become an extension of your sales team. And that really kind of brings me into the next part with Lindsay being a CAM. Lindsay, will you just run down the day of what it looks like to, manage these properties?
Absolutely. So just generically speaking, a CAM has a pretty busy day and it can start as early as 7, 8 in the morning. And depending on what the day holds, can go into the evening. So For us, meeting with vendors is a really difficult thing if it's not specifically for a property or, for something that we're dealing with at that moment. We come into the office, we check our emails, check our voicemails, respond to all that. And then we're usually in the field the majority of the day. And then I personally finish in my office, again, checking any messages that I may have missed, returning those calls, responding to those emails, and getting kind of a to-do list going for myself for the next day. So, in your own businesses, I'm sure the same. You're very busy. You come in and you're catching up on everything you missed after you left the office, and your day just kind of keeps going. With the technology that we have now, you don't really get a lunch break because everyone has your phone number. If you're gone or wherever you are, you're reachable. So you're pretty much working, more than your normal 9 to 5. And for CAMs to be able to jump on a 30-minute Zoom and meet vendors, no matter whether it's landscaping or pool companies or lawyers or insurance agents, to be able to jump on and get some education on a topic that's relevant to a CAM's life, business life, and then also be able to learn about that vendor and their experience and, what they specifically do in their field is very helpful because we get to know the vendors and the vendors get to know the CAM, and you have that outreach there that you wouldn't have had. And you can meet, 7, 15, 20 people in one 30-minute session, opposed to spreading that out over an entire month and having to actually, spend that 30 minutes to an hour to round trip going to and from an office to meet the CAM. So it really is a way that is great for the CAM as well as the vendor, to make the introductions. CAMs, we're only as good as the people we work with. So if I have an issue, my client is expecting that I have the person that I can call to take care of that issue right away. And so my vendors are my toolbox, and that's probably one of the most important aspects of my job.
Yes, so our program is all based around hosting webinars. Like Lindsay said, the day is just too busy for CAMs to talk to vendors in the office. And even though I know that CAMs appreciate a pop in and, some bagels or some lunch brought to them, they don't want to talk to the vendors. They are busy, they're running. And usually you only see the admin staff, which is great. We always want to support the support team at the office. But again, how do we work smarter? How do we come up with strategies that really provide solutions for the time that we're in now? And webinars do that. Webinars also help just position you as an education leader, as a knowledge creator, and as someone who is setting yourself up and different from the rest. Even though we have a number of businesses that we work with, CAMs are always looking for unique opportunities to learn in different industries. For example, I had this management company that I have, I'm on their, all users email, and one of their CAMs put out that they needed to speak to an EV, an electrical vehicle provider, and nobody knew. And I thought, oh gosh, we got to get an EV provider, because CAMs need to have that toolbox that Lindsay mentioned of that person that they can go to all the time. And by hosting webinars and putting on webinars, you're coming into their inbox every week. In our program, for the most part, we're going into the inbox because it's top of mind awareness, it's consistency, it's all to get you to get to the webinar, just like we did to promote today. I'm on all of the lists because, again, I've been working in this sector since 2014, 10 years. And I see a few attorney firms do it well, but what I see them do is one-offs. When statute changes or when certification time comes around, all of a sudden all the law firms start sending out these webinars, and that's great for CAMs. Free knowledge, free info, great. But do you remember as a CAM, does the CAM remember that vendor? How many times are you showing up in a CAM's inbox? And what is your spread with how your company works in counties? Do you work in Volusia, Flagler, Brevard, St. John's, Fort Lauderdale? Like, where do you do all your business? That's where we can also come in. Lindsay, anything to add to that?
Just that, yeah, I mean, if a vendor, if a lawyer, for example, law firm is doing a legal update and they do it in, let's say September because it's the continuing education class, or and they're trying to, get that information out there plus get some credits to CAMS, that's great. But if they don't have any follow-up or they don't continue to market themselves or do anything else until the next March, if I have something that comes up in December, unless it was just amazing, you're probably not going to remember the name of the law firm or the attorney that was doing it. So it's really important to continue to market yourself through newsletters, through social media, and through these webinars so that you stay relevant, so that when something comes up in your field that they need someone for, you're the first person that comes to mind and you're the person that they call.
And also when they're looking for RFPs, when the request for proposal comes from a board member and they have to get 3 bids, they may be working with someone that they already have a relationship with, but the board mostly it's not a requirement, but for the most part, they do that, right, Lindsay? That they
Yeah,
ask
and
for.
especially when they're, up to do contract renewals, which budget season is a great time, but contract renewals with vendors happen throughout the year. So it's not specific to that budget season, but that is when, we as CAMs generally, I mean, the general rule of thumb is to get 3 proposals. So if you're looking to do, any work, I mean, whether it's, I mean, if it's a $500 job, maybe you're not, but any type of job that you're getting a bid on, you're going to get minimum of 2, but generally we try 3. Sometimes it's hard depending on the time of year and the actual, if it's busy season for that specific vendor, you may only be able to get 2, but most associations are expecting 3 bids for any project that they're going to be doing or
And
contract renewal.
And it could be hard because you just don't have time to go, who's a third person? But if you get that email from that vendor that says that we're doing a webinar next week on this topic, the topic doesn't even have to be on what that CAM is looking for. They now see your name and go, I need a proposal. And you might come in at in that sweet spot, and then bam, you might get the association as a new client.
Yeah, and here's an example of a client that we actually have right now that we're doing webinars for. They may not actually attend the webinar, but they got multiple newsletters and they saw the social media. So one of our clients we did a webinar for, and a board member was not able to, they had signed up, but then they were not able to attend the webinar. And the next week they had that association, I think it was the board president, reached out to them and asked them to come out and give them a proposal for a contract for their pool service. But they didn't even actually attend the webinar, but they learned about the company from all the marketing material that we send out during that 6-week period up to that webinar. And so that's how they had their information to reach out to them for that contract, that RFP.
Yeah, that was a fun email and Google review to get. A new client said, "Oh, we got an RFP from an association. They didn't even attend the webinar, but they got the marketing for it." And so we're excited to see what comes from that. So our services are robust. We handle all of it for you. We set up a 30-minute conversation with you to find out what your message is, what your value add is for CAMs and for the residents. We find out what counties you're in, and we find out who you're looking to target. We have the CAM list in the state of Florida, the CAM email list. So that is part of the program that we provide, and we segment out. So we have clients that are servicing the whole entire state of Florida. And then we have clients that are only in Volusia. So if you're looking to expand, you get even more bang for your buck by having more CAMs get your message and get your invitation to come and attend these webinars. I have a sample up here of one of our clients, Expert Reserve Services. We put this out. So we meet with you, we come up with the message, the value add, and we figure out what counties. And then we create the topic. We come up with the topic and bullet points. Of course, get your permission. We set the date, and then it's off to the races. We create the design of the flyer. We create the design of all the social media posts, and we put it out there to this CAM list. And of course, any list that you have. This is a case study that we did for Expert Reserve Services. Of course, if you're a vendor in Florida, you probably heard of SIRS and know all about these structural integrity reserve studies. We put this out. We promote 6 weeks in advance. We do a save the date, take off a week, and then 4 weeks we do a newsletter once a week up until the webinar to make sure that people attend and know about you. This team, they did 2 webinars in the same day. They did one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and they had about 60 board members and CAMs attend both. And they ended up getting multiple clients from it because we also follow up. So we become the moderators of the webinar. We create the PowerPoint with you as well. We do the design work. You tell us, what we work on the outline, we put it together, we make it look visually, appealing. And from a CAM perspective and from a marketing perspective, that's why Lindsay and I work so well together, is our vantage points are different. And so we have a full range, a full scope aerial view of what the board members and what the CAMs are looking for from their vendors. So we take care of that for you. And then we moderate the webinar. We introduce you, we manage the waiting room, the questions that we're doing the Zoom video after it's over and after questions are asked. And we have Lindsay as a CAM ask questions, because a lot of times when we're just on these webinars, we sometimes forget what questions we have. So you hear CAMs ask other questions that other CAMs are like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So it's an opportunity to have a community where the CAMs are also getting together and sharing feedback. We've seen that be successful as well. So we tape it, we put it on your YouTube channel, and then we send out a follow-up newsletter with the video so that anybody that could not attend but wanted to attend and learn about that topic can still see your program. And then that's just another touch. And then 6 weeks later, we're doing another webinar. What we've seen, our success rate what we've seen is to do 4 months where there's 3 webinars, because it's once every 6 weeks. The program for us is $950 a month. And again, we handle all of it for you. Anything to add to that, Lindsay? Oh, she's on mute. What is going on today?
Thank you. I don't know. I ended up muted, and then since I'm not the host, I couldn't unmute myself. So I was like over here.
Oh my gosh.
No, so I mean, I think you covered it, but I mean, we've seen results. It seems to be a program that works. We've gotten positive feedback from CAMs and vendors, and I mean, it's a new program, but it's something I feel like was needed, and something else to add, we reached out to all the CAMs in the state or county, depending on, the area that you want us to reach out to. But when you're going into a CAM's office, you're only meeting with people when you're going to the offices that are working for an office, so you're missing out on all the CAMs that work for themselves. So myself, I don't have a physical office. I work from a home office, and I have properties that I manage, and I'm in their office sometimes, but I would be someone who you wouldn't reach in a normal scenario of marketing by going to the offices and visiting the offices. So, that's something to consider as well. You're getting all the individuals that are working for themselves or directly for properties that you would miss otherwise.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's a good point, because our list is because it was over the years we work with the licensing department, and so we can grab that list of all the CAMs in the area. And she's right, there's so many CAMs that are portfolio, there are so many CAMs that are private, there are so many CAMs that only have one property, and they're constantly looking for those vendors to be in their toolbox. So this is a way to reach them. LaToya, thanks for sticking it out with us. If you have any questions, you just let us know. If not, thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is really interesting. And I'll probably just sort of digest what I heard, and I might come back with some questions afterwards.
We would love that. Thank you so much for coming, and have a good rest of your